Welcome and thanks for joining me. It's Adam Butler from Butler Philbrick & Associates. Please note our disclaimer before we begin. This will be a discussion of the case study from Dental Practice Management's December issue, where we look in on Jack and Diane, both age 65, retiring tomorrow, and with a current wealth of $1 million. Initially, we run Jack and Diane through a traditional financial planning exercise. And we discover that if we assume that the portfolio value goes to zero in Jack and Diane's 85th year, that they can expect to be able to take out $70,000 a year, adjusted for inflation every single year, safely. And what we learn in the article is that life is full of surprises. We might live longer or less long than we expect. Inflation might be low or high, which would impact on the purchasing power of whatever income you're withdrawing. Markets might yield very positive results or very negative results or anything in between. And what we don't note in the article is that it's the early years that matter most. So even if we get very strong results toward the latter part of our retirement, that has very little impact. It's the years in the very early portion of retirement that matter. So we need a planning tool that accounts for the randomness of life and markets, and that's what we have endeavored to develop at Butler Philbrick & Associates. So this is our financial planning snapshot. You can see I've populated the assumptions using the Jack and Diane case study. So we're going to use Diane specifically, her life expectancy, because that's the more conservative way to go, given that she's expected to live longer than Jack. Current age is 65, retiring this year. We're not going to include CPP because we didn't in the article. You can see current wealth of $1 million. Not saving anything anymore because we're retiring this year. And from the traditional analysis, we are assuming that we can take out $70,000 a year with an expected return on the portfolio of 7%. And we've introduced a new variable, the expected volatility on the portfolio, which we discussed in some detail in the case study, and I won't go into that detail again here. But you can see that the portfolio at a 7% expected return, we would expect a 13.25% volatility. We're not going to discuss any annuitization. So the meat of this snapshot is in the chart below, where we discuss the retirement sustainability quotient and the expected financial legacy that would result from these assumptions above. The retirement sustainability quotient is simply the likelihood that this plan will play out as expected, and it is quantified by these gold bars in the chart below. So for example, at a $70,000 expected income, we would have a 56% chance that the plan would play out as expected, and so that is pretty close to what we saw in the article. Any difference is due to the fact that we're using a slightly more sophisticated algorithm to calculate this. And so what we want to know is, well, how much can we take out in order to have a much better chance of success? So say sort of an 85% chance of success. I've gone through the numbers and discovered that if we take out about $45,000 a year with these assumptions, that would yield about an 85% chance of success. Okay, so at $70,000, we have what amounts to effectively a coin flip as to whether or not we're going to be successful. 56% chance. We need to take the income down to $45,000 a year in order to bring our expected success factor or retirement sustainability quotient up to a level that is much more comfortable. And so the expected financial legacy line is the white line here, and that's just simply the average expected portfolio value at death, given all of the really positive possible scenarios and all of the really negative possible scenarios and everything in between. This is the average. And so you can see if we take out $45,000 a year at 7% return and 13% volatility, we can expect about $400,000 left in the portfolio at death. Future videos will discuss including CPP, annuitization, and changes in expected return.